Example.
The first wave is in the 1800s with the opening of the Erie Canal. So when the Erie Canal opens in the 1820s, Detroit becomes a boom town by the 1830s because now people are coming from the east. They're coming from Pennsylvania. They're coming from New York. They're coming from Boston. Because a lot of these people are immigrants. And so that's the first boom. So cigar making, building railroad train cars, building iron stoves. These are major businesses in the city of Detroit in the mid to late 1800s.
Extract 1.
Henry Ford, he starts building cars on a moving assembly line. So no longer does he need dozens of workers or even hundreds of workers. Now he needs thousands of workers. And so he puts a call out in 1914 offering $5 a day to all workers, regardless of race and ethnicity. And so now that's going to create an even larger rush than was created by the Erie Canal opening. And so now Detroit is becoming a humongous city, at least population-wise. And it's going to become the fourth largest city in the country by 1930.
Extract 2.
It is administered in a discriminatory fashion. White immigrants are able to take advantage of this, but African-American immigrants cannot. And so this is the beginning of white working class home buyers becoming middle class by becoming homeowners and property owners because the federal government is helping them out. And so you get the surrounding all white suburbs, and the city is becoming more and more African-American because it is the one place that African-Americans can live. They can live in Detroit. And of course, by the 1970s, the city is predominantly African-American, but it's lost nearly half of its population. And then the 1967 uprising occurred.
Extract 3.
And it sped up what was already occurring. So white flight had already started, but this 1967 riot is, I call it a rebellion, but this 1967, what is many people call a riot, occurred. And after that, people, whites particularly, began to leave the city of Detroit at an ever-increasing rate.
Extract 4.
So the auto factories began to relocate first to the suburbs around the city of Detroit, starting with Henry Ford, but followed by Chrysler and Dodge, and all of the other factories begin to move out of the city of Detroit. They may have a small factory in the city, but most of them, their factories are outside of the city of Detroit. Then they begin to even move out of the country. And so all of that has a devastating effect on the city of Detroit.
Extract 5.
The city didn't have the income. They didn't have the revenue to support 3,000 people on the police force, 2,000 people in the fire department, the water department. So a lot of these people began to be laid off. There's crime happening that the police can't fully respond to. There's fires happening that the fire department can't fully answer because they don't have enough staff, enough equipment. And so now it's a snowball effect. And by the 90s, you can really see it. So the city goes into a lot of debt to cover its costs.
Extract 6.
By 2013, an emergency manager appointed by the governor of the state of Michigan will declare bankruptcy for the city of Detroit because of $18 billion debt that the city has.
Extract 7.
There was talk of selling all of the art inside of Detroit Institute of Arts to help pay these debts. And these creditors of the city of Detroit wanted to collect on their debt, and they believed that everything should be willing to be sold. The city's parks, Belle Isle, the riverfront, the water department, the zoo, everything that the city owned, these creditors were talking about, well, you need to sell it. That's part of bankruptcy. You can't just go bankrupt and you have all these assets. You have to sell them to pay off these debts.